what is with all this, the dancing? Are we actually doing a holiday tracker? Oh yes, I was just too busy enjoying the last logical weekend. What is that, you might ask? Well, stick around to find out, because that is what we're talking about today. Hello, and welcome to Holiday Tracker. It's a brand new season here of Holiday Tracker where we keep you above the emotions of the holiday season. Well, all that dancing you see over there might have you asking, what are we talking about when we say last logical weekend? Well, if you've been watching this when we first uploaded this or the weekend before Thanksgiving, congratulations, it is the last logical weekend. Well, last logical weekend is defined as the weekend before Thanksgiving in the US, where the world sees its last dose of holiday-free fun or just logical movement before the holiday season starts up. So basically, it is the final weekend of perceived order and rationality before the chaos of the holiday season begins. Perhaps the final weekend that you can really breathe clearly. Basically, this is the last weekend that you can get through life being able to tune the Christmas out, as you are not actually bombarded with everything everywhere and actually in that flow of the holiday season where it can be hard to escape. You do not have to endure things like Christmas music, movies, events, and logic in any real general settings. The last weekend where it is not the holidays. So during this weekend, it is important to take stock and be aware of what logic and reason and normalcy is like, because after Thanksgiving, it all ends. So, how do people celebrate this final weekend of rationality? Well, there are a couple of things to note. Probably the most important thing that you can see during this weekend is Friendsgivings commonly happen. As friends see the impending social isolation of the family-based traditions and emotions, they decide to huddle together close and bond over friendship to make it through the holidays. While my Friendsgiving was not this weekend, it seems most common to do it during this time because it's the last logical weekend, the last weekend of social, so it makes sense. People think rationally about their emotions and turn to psychological means when it comes to sadness, overwhelm, as opposed to, some of the more gaslighting psychological topics. A lot of times there'll be some gaslighting psychological figure trying to just not care because it's the holidays and you gotta have fun. Now, a fun fact is the Satanic School District actually traditionally holds its homecoming dance during this weekend, celebrating the importance of education to dominate the scene. Hence why we were kind of remembering with music back when I was doing that. Now, through the whole month of November, we are seeing and experiencing what is called the pre-holiday season. This is where we see the slow increase in the holiday season and activity as Christmas makes itself known to us ever more increasingly. The lights start to appear, and especially in the commercial advertisements really start to creep up. I've seen a couple, we're filming this and we're watching football, and you're seeing some of that emotional intensity out there. And in fact, we did a whole video on the pre-holiday season, and if you want to check that out, I'll link it here and in the description. But at the time of writing this part of the script, I am feeling those emotions start to creep in. After entering with a strong energy, it is starting to permeate and bring the mood down, so all that holiday season. I have described how these Christmas emotions seem to be creeping in, and really going to help us segue into the next topic that is very similar to this, and that is called the Christmas creep. All of the talk that this is the last logical weekend may be more fleeting as years go on. The commercialism and the profit motive have moved more of the push to the Christmas season earlier and earlier into the year. We are seeing this sort of topic being drawn more into the social scene where people are putting up Christmas trees and doing, holiday themed things, sometimes even before Halloween comes. Now, I found a really good article written last year by The Guardian, which helps illustrate how the Christmas creep is indeed actually happening and getting earlier and earlier each year. One of my favorite parts of this article is a chart that they have in it, and it shows the music, and it shows how the music starts earlier and earlier than it did in the 90s and the early 2000s. In fact, according to this, it was Justin Bieber who holds the record for the earliest charting Christmas song. A fun holiday tracker shout out. I am so glad that most countdowns actually filter out Christmas songs for their countdown, so you don't get that contamination if you're listening to a Billboard countdown or looking at a Billboard chart. So, do you think that with all the Christmas creep going on, is Last Logical Weekend still an appropriate term to use? Have you noticed any unacceptable Christmas creep activity going on? Let us know in the comments, because, things can get pretty bad out there even in November. Well, as you might have guessed, the pre-holiday season is going strong, and it is very clear that we are seeing holiday activity really ramping up. It seems this year, rather than crashing into the holiday season, it is very clearly creeping up, which is what can be expected for the pre-holiday season. Granted, our personal holiday analysis shows that Halloween kept much of the activity away, but the Christmas creep was still strong, with things starting to appear softly about the week before Halloween, so it starts creeping in. And that mostly started with advertisements and whatnot. We can also see the signs of the holiday fairs and events coming up. And it is this level of planning that is what screws us from keeping the holidays all in their own season, like Black Friday to Christmas Day. One thing that I noticed with this time is that while we can see some holiday activity, something seems to be missing when we see it now, but especially earlier, and that something that we said is hard to name. It is really that thing that we're trying to track here at Holiday Tracker. Now, Holiday Tracker was actually out briefly at Mystic, and we got a look at how Mystic seems to look during the pre-holiday season. It's well known that Mystic likes to go above and beyond for the holidays, but as you can see, as we are driving around the sort of downtown area of Mystic, there isn't too many signs that they are getting involved with the pre-holiday season. Sure, we see a few decorations, but mostly just U.S. flags and not much else. We did drive on Veterans Day, which might explain why we had all those flags there. Now, however, you see some indications emerging, a few decorations. There was actually a gas station that we passed that was over the top, trying to go crazy for the holidays, with a sleigh and reindeer, and the picture was hard to get, but hopefully you can make it out. We're also in some more of the villages of Mystic, which were a bit more intense, and had a little more of the ideas they're trying to build with the intensity of the holiday season. Trying to make it mystical. Take a listen to one of the stores with the music they're playing there. Now that store may have been trying to be Christmas cool. Now, after the bridge, we enter more of the center of town, and again, you don't see too many holiday decorations, so that intensity we saw in some of our earlier videos, not too much. The big thing to note, of course, is the banner for their tugboat parade. Santa comes in, holiday season is going to explode on November 29th. It's going to probably be crazy, very over the top. Mostly secular, probably, but you never know. Emotional can always creep in. Now, as you can see, there is also a church that was showcasing their holiday bazaar, and that was in November earlier. So really in the pre-holiday season, kind of that Christmas creep that we've been talking about, because they got to get all the planning and everything all ready. So, okay, we've come to the part of the video where we can talk about what I think we can expect from the holiday season. My thinking is that this is going to be a very interesting and potentially intense holiday season. And we have a lot of factors that are coming into play here that really seem to make this a wild ride. I think the most dominant of them all is going to be economic struggles. This could be really impact the holiday season and cause a lot of emotional dysregulation and such. This is also going to become really questionable when it comes to the rise of religious authoritarianism and religious oppression. And this is why I feel a real wild card could be in play with this, because normally I would say that economic conditions would limit the commercialism and bring in higher religious activity, as people tend to focus on the old-fashioned traditions and the true meaning of Christmas. The fact that religious oppression is driving the economic policy could cause some interesting backlash. What I think we're going to see is a strong clashing of religious authoritarianism picking up, along with secular forces clashing. And honestly, the dysregulation could be something that we are not totally accustomed to. Like, it isn't exactly blowback activity, but it also isn't not blowback activity. Perhaps it is a new term that we haven't quite picked out yet. We are getting some information from an article that suggests that Americans will be spending about the same as they were last year, though lower income Americans will be tightening up. So really going to be a bit more in the class warfare area this year, even confirming the hypothesis. So keep it tuned here to Holiday Tracker, and you can see it all happening, and I will try to showcase all the things that are going on and potential impacts of this. Speaking of that special something that we are trying to track, we are doing just that here at Holiday Tracker, and we are in the process, and we're going to be test riding it this year, of developing a Holiday Tracker AI. So we have loaded a bunch of our scripts along with definitions and instructions, and it is our hope here at Holiday Tracker that we can theoretically feed the AI an article or a scenario and let it analyze how intense the holiday activity or feelings and emotions should be. And let's take a quick look at how it works. Okay, so what you are looking at right now is our Holiday Tracker AI. And what we have done is we've uploaded all of our scripts. We've got a script library all in one. So we have an emotions template with a prompt I did earlier in the summer and some basic holiday instructions. This will grow over time. So here are basic instructions. You are a helpful organizational assistant that is helping people navigate turbulent emotions pertaining to Christmas and the holiday season. You will use elements of psychology, science, lore, internet, and the attached files to help analyze and help the user understand and navigate various elements of the holiday season as presented in various mediums. So what we're going to do for fun is we're going to test it out live right now. Remember this article about shoppers planning to spend briskly? We are going to analyze that article right now, live on Holiday Tracker AI. Let's run the prompt. So let's see what we got. So we can go right here. Here are the main points. It's summarizing it. Basically, they're going to spend $1,007. That's not really what we're concerned with now. Aligning with your framework. Stability, because the average is nearly the same, there's a sense of continuality. So economically, this is saying that it's normal. People aren't expecting dramatic increases across the board. That can reduce anxiety. Emotionality, a feeling of we're doing okay. Emerge. Unequal optimism, increasing divergence. People more emphasis on emotional, relational, small-scale magic. Expect under-the-surface emotions, envy, shame, pride, relief. So a lot of interesting emotions. This is what we're looking at. Mixed feelings between excitement and pressure among difference. Diversity in how magic is expressed. Relational emphasis. A lot of good stuff. Holiday overwhelm protocol would be nice. Emotional high risk indicators. If any of these are present, expect emotional fragility, budget shrinkage, but there you go. We are building a lot of this throughout the holiday season. We're going to feed this more information. I think we do need some instructions a little more, but this is a big work in progress, and we're going to be using this data to help us understand and help you stay above the holiday season. A big part of the holiday season intensity is going to be reliant on the weather, and warmer conditions mean a much lighter season, and colder weather usually means more intense of a holiday season. Let's take a look at some of the weather models like GFS and the Euro to see how they're going to affect the holiday season.
So we're taking a look right now at some of the latest GFS models. This is 500 millibars. Let's see what we could potentially expect as we go into the holiday season in terms of weather. We start out right now for our last logical weekend, and you see some cold air in the northeast. So could be interesting there. Southwest, anomalous upper level low. Could this be some more intensity, but generally seasonable through last logical weekend with a bit of a ridge up in the north. But this does look to change, and Thanksgiving and for Black Friday, it's going to have an intense start, especially through the whole eastern seaboard with a trough and cold air. This could really ramp up the holiday season, though out west really starting to stay warmer, so this is a good look. So less intense over there potentially. Real diving trough, we've seen a lot of that potential for some cold and stratospheric warming, which is going to potentially impact and make it a classic December. Very interesting. And look at this big trough into the west and like California area, southwest. Real intense holidays. This could be people getting in the holiday spirit. Hopefully a little bit of a suppressor here and some ridging. So this is not what I expected from the GFS. Take that through with big ridging through that first week. We don't go out. Then we do get the trough. But generally a zonal flow is what we've been seeing. I think we see this on the Euro as well. And last logical weekend, going into that first week, into Thanksgiving, not as far, but you can see Black Friday, cold central and eastern U.S., maybe not as deep of a trough. Then we kind of, you can see the zonal flow does kind of suppress the warmth. It keeps that cold out west and warmth in here, so the ridge builds later. Just taking a look at some good storm potential quickly. Of course, northern New England, where we are. The sort of northwest has some snow, big blizzard potential, which was showing for Thanksgiving. However, that is seeming less likely. But here comes that storm. Probably going to be more for the central U.S. up in the northern plains. Well, that warm air, this is GFS. And again, northern central plains, maybe into the northeast, could be intense. Let's quickly check the Euro for any big storms. Again, warmer on Thanksgiving, except if you're in the way northern plains. And this shows less storms, again, maybe to the, the northwest. But overall, that is your pattern for some intensity as far as the weather of the holiday season.
Well, the holiday season is gearing up to be very interesting this year. And with the current state of the world, we don't know what is going to happen. However, keep it here at the Holiday Tracker as we keep you above the emotions of the holiday season. In the meantime, take it in. This is the last logical weekend because that is what is going on. So let's get back to dancing.